Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Good to be with you. I'm Bill Pucko, joined by Tariq Spence. How you doing, man?
I can't wait to get Duffy's thoughts on the Buffalo Bills South, i.e. my New York Football Giants.
Alrighty, well, I'm sure we'll hear. What are you decked out in here?
What are you talking about? Baseball's back. It's spring training. It's my official spring training sitting in the dugout, even though I make $100 million a season outfit. Isn't it great? Right, like you see these guys making a fortune, and then all of a sudden you tune into the game, right, on MLB Network, and there's a hat that's got holes in it, and a guy's in a hoodie, and there he is sitting there eating sunflower seeds.
This is fresh
Tariq
gear.
Picked up on
I've
this.
never seen this before. This isn't a shirt he's been hanging out and wearing for 6 years and never washed. It's just a fresh new shirt.
It's the official spring training collection, gentlemen.
Very good.
Thank you.
Let's do football first. DeShaun Watson offers. I'm not here. I don't want this. This is not a bash Cleveland segment for DeShaun Watson because there's 31 other teams that, if having the need, would probably have done the same thing. Yeah. But it seems like we're making a conscious choice here between where our priorities are. Signing DeShaun Watson with his personal history and his excellence in football. Where do you fall on this?
First of all, you don't need to bash Deshaun Watson or the Browns. Trust me, a lot of fans are not happy about that. Most fans are happy that they've got the quarterback they believe that will make them a better football team, and that's what this is about. This is not about anything else that's going on off the field. He was not going to face any criminal charges. That's the way it goes. That's really on those that live in Houston and those that file those charges going forward. Since then, he is now going to go to the NFL. He will be suspended, probably 6 games. Maybe they reduce that down to 4 or 8 games. They reduce that down to 6. But this is really about football in the future. A young player now with an opportunity to play. Okay, the Browns did overpay to get him, but now he's on this team moving forward. I'm not sure this is going to be much of an issue once the season starts.
Well,
are you entirely comfortable with the ethics of the whole situation?
No, I'm wildly uncomfortable with the ethics of the situation because you did say something, and I know you were just, 31 other teams would have taken the chance. No, the Steelers, who were in desperate need of a quarterback, came out and said that he didn't fit what was going on with their franchise. I mean, the Rooneys, for all the things the Steelers have, and it is ironic considering what happened with Ben Roethlisberger, decided they wanted no part of what's going on here. Like, first of all, if we're talking pure football-wise, Deshaun Watson is not worth 3 first-round picks. He's won 1 playoff game, and it was with the best receiver in the league at the time. So that's strange to me. Then you have all the stuff going around, right? I mean, look, you can make it a he said, she said argument. It's not. It's a he said versus she said, she said, she said. I can go on 22 times. Yep. You get what I'm saying here, right? Like, we are being naive, especially with what we've seen with other powerful people in the past, where they've gone decades without being held accountable for what happened. Now, I'm not sitting here saying the guy's guilty. What I am saying is, if you're a $1 billion NFL franchise with a fan base that you have to placate, you've decided that fan base cares more about winning than they do about who they're cheering on the field. I mean, I've got 2 daughters, right? I take my girls to sporting events. If the Bills were to do this, how do I pay for a ticket? Put my 11-year-old daughter on one side, my 9-year-old daughter on the other side, and say, that's the guy we're going to cheer for. By the way, do not Google anything about him.
Well, how many other NFL teams and NFL players have been caught in similar situations, maybe not this egregious, and they still do? You mentioned the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger, same thing. They still kept him. You can even go to Ray Rice, where his career was over after that. So there's so many multiple moments where the NFL could have done the right thing, did do the right thing, but then they didn't let players come back and play and be a part of the league. Even in baseball, Trevor Bauer right now, I'm not sure what's going to happen in this particular situation. Now, he didn't have a squeaky clean image before the allegations came out, but after the allegations came out and they decided they weren't going to press charges, the Dodgers were still looking for a team for him to trade to. We're talking a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball right now who is on a team that team doesn't want him.
You're not, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you did this twice. I'm interested. So with your daughter's Buffalo Bills signing, what would you stop going?
I mean, I've been thinking about this since the Deshaun Watson signing happened. Yeah, I don't know how I could justify. Like, as we tape this now, right? Like, the story is Tariq Hill wants out of Kansas City. At least he's exploring a trade with his agent. That's happening right now. Like, if the Bills were to make that move, I have my Bills season tickets. I don't know how I could go sit in that stadium with what he's got in his background and the way the NFL is glossed over.
You have to even to remember what that was.
And that's just it, because the NFL, he went from persona non grata to look how well he can play to when they were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, they were putting him out for interviews and he became funny guy. Look, man, I love sports and I love watching sports. And personally, I just want to watch sports and enjoy it and shut the rest of the stuff out. But we can't do that anymore, especially as you get older and you have kids and you have careers and you have a spouse and you have family members. These things affect other people. Why should they not affect me?
The fantasy that we used to have as friends was like, we like all of these players, we love these players. We realize that some of them have different issues, some of them very deep issues. The question is whether or not we should cheer for them for their talent and not the person that they are. We want all of our Bills players, all of our Giants, all of our Mets, whatever team it is, to be good guys. They're not.
But it goes past good guys, and you said issues. Issues are fine. You're right. Every human being has issues. I understand that, right? It's when those issues harm other people where the problem becomes. And look, not only did they get 3 first-round picks for DeShaun Watson, not only was Cleveland willing to make him the face of their franchise, they gave him a record NFL contract, guaranteed $230 million. Oh, and just to show how much faith you have in DeShaun Watson, you altered the first year of the contract where he only makes $1 million, so you can save him as much money as possible when he's suspended for 22 sexual assault allegations.
That is the most unsettling part of this whole deal for me, is that essentially you've given up any kind of moral high ground you might claim here because you're admitting guilt.
Desperate teams do desperate things like this to try to win games. I'm not saying it's right, but we're looking at a franchise that believes they're on the cusp of winning.
Good. This is the Rochester Press Box. We're talking Buffalo Bills next. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Our Buffalo Bills segment is brought to you by Ralph Honda for 3 generations and celebrating 50 years as New York's first and oldest Honda dealer. Visit Ralph Honda today and find out how we do Honda right at ralphhonda.com. Well, the Buffalo Bills had an unexpectedly active free agent season, didn't they? Since we last met, the Von Miller signing to top it.
Since we last met, I said something. God, why do you guys not listen to everything I say? Because I'm always right about everything. I said every year in free agency, it's guaranteed that 3 days after it starts, Brandon Beane will make a splash that no one sees coming. What did he do? Literally 3 days after the tampering period starts, here comes Von Miller into Buffalo. How do you not love this? How do you not love this? You got Shaq Lawson coming back. You have Jordan Phillips coming back. By the way, very sneaky, big-time moves for this Buffalo Bills defense. This is going to be the best defense as long as you find a second corner somewhere in the draft that the Bills have had maybe since the Ted Cottrell days.
Let me ask you a question. You're good with the years to Von Miller, or you're just good with the acquisition of Von Miller? Because the acquisition, you're absolutely right, is amazing.
Look,
the years are a lot.
The way that it breaks down is essentially a 3-year deal for what, $52-something million guaranteed. That guy takes care of himself, right? And defensive ends traditionally go long. If you look at production at 34, 35, 36, 37 years old for historically great defensive ends, which Von Miller arguably is a top 5, maybe top 3. I'm not concerned about this at all. You have to do it. Your window is here. You got 2 more years of Josh Allen where it's semi-affordable. If you don't do it now, when are you going to do it?
2-year window, maybe 3-year window.
Are you worried down the road? I'm just trying to think the next free agency, like pretty soon the Bills are going to have to be sellers.
Yeah, over the next 24 to 36 months, they better win a Super Bowl. This is what this is. This is all the chips in the middle of the table. This is for the Super Bowl. This is not for the AFC Championship game. This is they be in the Super Bowl to win a Super Bowl so that Duffy can, not show up to work for the next 3 days.
3 days. I'm going to be unconscious for a week. If there's one thing I've learned as an NFL fan over the last 3 to 5 years, is the salary cap does not actually exist. You look at what the Rams have been doing, selling off their draft picks and signing high-end free agents for the last 5 years. You know what they did this offseason? Went out and got more high-end free agents, and they're finding a way to get it done. It does not exist. Teams find a way around it, unless you're a team like the Giants, where you have one of the worst records in the NFL and one of the worst cap situations.
Can we just call the Giants the Buffalo Bills of the South? Because all they seem to do is just go to get players that are from the Buffalo Bills. Matt Breida, offensive line, a couple of players over here and there.
Is there a sneaky pick in here? Is it somebody that, it's a little under the radar that you're saying, boy, that was really good?
I really like Mitch Trubisky to the Steelers, if I'm being sincere with you. Mitch Trubisky is a former second overall pick. The guy caught a bad rap in Chicago. He's the exact guy that Mike Tomlin needs to run that offense, and you have a quality running game with some receivers to do it. I really, really like Mitchell Trubisky in Pittsburgh.
It's so funny that his image has gone so high, having not done anything for a year.
I do like Matt Barkley back again. And, oh, by the way, Ryan Fitzpatrick, coach.
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to sign somewhere as a quarterback before this season.
He hasn't signed yet. And trust me, there are teams that need quarterbacks.
There's going to be somebody who needs a 2 or 3. It's going to happen. Fitz will be playing in the league one more year.
Fitz will play when somebody gets hurt and they need him.
It's been a good week for the Buffalo Bills. Our Buffalo Bills segment brought to you by Ralph Honda. Like it or not is next. Here's the Press Box trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor.
where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Everyone wants to get away. Well, it's never too late to plan ahead. Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. This week's podcast, Cozy Cottage Getaways. And I'm giving away some travel books. Go to thegetawayguy.com.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Like it or not segment brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law. Attorneys with years of experience defending the accused. Do not go unprepared. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today. Like it or not, anything about the NCAA tournament that stands out?
I love all of it. This has been like one of the best tournaments of my life, which is weird. Maybe it's not, but I had such low expectations for it. The way that it's been, absolutely fun. The games are fantastic. This is great.
And I love the fact that there is a lot of parity in college basketball. There's no more blue bloods. There's schools from St. Mary's. There's schools from St. Peter's. There's all of these different schools I've never seen before, giving these coaches an opportunity to get through the ranks. Players get the opportunity to play as well in front of a big audience. I love the fact that you still have a couple number ones left as of right now, as we're taping this. And this is still an interesting game going forward when it comes to breaking down who these players are, guys that weren't able to get into big programs, but yet make big statements.
It's part of the culture of the tournament, but don't you just love the commercials?
I do. The Green Hill commercial is probably the best one. I'm not going to give
the
that
mascots.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Negotiating the rivalries. That's probably my favorite. But it's not only so much that, it's the fact that I didn't fill out a bracket, and everybody seems to be knocked out.
Yeah, that's
St.
cool.
Peter's.
You can enjoy the
Just
tournament
destroyed
that way.
whole
I
thing.
love the Lily spots. I thought that Stafford and the Krzyzewski bits about taking over part-time.
Well, she's at the game.
Those are brilliant.
Krzyzewski great in those commercials. Really well written with Stafford, but could he be a worse actor? So you're telling me if I make a trip?
And then that wink.
It's like he's got an infection.
Boy, it's almost that bad. Like it or not, the Indianapolis Colts now have got another quarterback.
Listen, this is their third, fourth quarterback in the last 3 or 4 years.
Fifth starting quarterback in 5 straight
Five?
years.
It's
Matt
five
Ryan.
now?
Yes.
Unbelievable. I like this for Matt Ryan. I mean, Matt Ryan is at the end of his career. He needs a team. He's got a running back in Taylor, probably one of the best running backs in the NFL. I don't know. I'm not sure what to really make of this with Frank Wright with all of this quarterback change, but they just don't have the fit yet. I would suspect they will draft a quarterback.
They're
I think
better
they would
off
be.
now with him than
They're more
Wentz.
consistent now with Matt Ryan, I think, at quarterback than they were with Wentz. I think that they'll make some noise again this year. They should have done it last year, but Wentz fell apart at the
More
end.
ammo in the AFC.
You guys are serious?
Yes, very much so.
Matt Ryan.
Yes.
A guy who Julio Jones did not sign an extension with because Ryan couldn't hit him over the middle and
And
stride.
how's that working out for Julio Jones?
But that's my point. You got some washed, busted wide receiver that someone else is willing to pay that can't play. Matt Ryan is not a threat. The Colts are going to win 6 games this year. Write it down. You heard it here first. 6
Here
win
we go with
Colts.
the predictions all
I know.
over again.
Quick, like it or not, on the NHL, the trade deadline pass, or a lot of deals made. Did any of them matter?
I mean, yeah, they're going to matter, but they're small-time pieces, right? But it's funny you bring that up because it's going to matter most what Buffalo didn't do, which I'll talk about in Unfinished Business in just a second.
Look at you, TV pro.
Thank you.
Our Like It or Not segment brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law, and Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Unfinished Business is brought to you by Greg the Roofer. Greg will meet or beat any competitor's price and can finance you with 0 down. Call today or visit gregtheroofer.com. Better roof, better price. Better call Greg today.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us for the unfinished business portion of the Rochester Press Box. Pat, start us off.
Bill just brought up the NHL trade deadline, and the Buffalo Sabres, again, should have been sellers when it all showed up. They made one trade. Robert Hagg is out for a 6th-round pick. Not that big a deal. But more importantly, the Sabres had a bunch of pieces they could have moved, and they didn't. If you haven't been watching Sabres hockey, and I'd forgive you if you haven't been, they've been playing really well lately. Last week, they won 2 overtime games on a West Coast road trip. They hadn't been playing well at overtime at all. In fact, I think they only had 1 overtime win all season up to that point. The week before that, they beat one of the best teams in the league in the Toronto Maple Leafs in an outdoor game in Ontario. By the way, first time they'd ever won an outdoor game when they took the lead in the 3rd period. First lead they had ever had in an outdoor game in franchise history. And the game before that, the fantastic Jack Eichel Vegas comes back, smoke them win. The point I'm making is you've got pieces here, a lot of young guys, and I know we've said that for years and years and years in Buffalo, and it's going to turn around. The difference is this. They didn't blow out all their veterans because I think Kevin Adams, the general manager, understands that now you need to find older gentlemen, players that are seasoned and do the right thing to lead these guys towards the end of the season. Give them something to play for. Keep the team together. You've tried everything else leading up to this point. This one has to work, right?
On a Tuesday night, I came home to watch my beloved Knicks take on their brand new rivals, the Atlanta Hawks. And boy, was I in for a show, the Trae Young show. And I also was in for the fact that this is it for the New York Knicks. So much hope that I had during the start of the season that this young team would come in and just totally take over in the East. And now they're under 500 yet again. I think it's time for the New York Knicks to totally change their entire roster, starting with their oldest players down. You keep, of course, Barrett, possibility of him teaming up with Zion, because you know full well it's not working in New Orleans. But the New York Knicks need to change everything, including their head coach, Tom Thibodeau. Great, fiery, got the personality for New York, but you picked the wrong leader. The wrong leader was Julius Randle, and now you're paying for it with the team deteriorating. Play your young players the rest of the way. Look for a brand new, fresh head coach. Use your draft picks if you got them. There's no free agencies to get. We're going to have to rebuild this thing all over again, starting with 5 young players now for the Knicks' future.
He was one of a kind, almost meek-looking. He was dubbed the professor somewhere along the line. John Clayton grew up in a single-parent household in Pittsburgh. His mother took him to his first Steelers football game at the age of 6. He was too small to play the sport. Look at me, he'd say. So John started writing football stories in junior high school. And before he graduated from high school, he was covering the Steelers for the local suburban newspapers. Hired by the Pittsburgh Press out of college, he went to Duquesne. Clayton proved his worth as a reporter by blowing the whistle on the Steelers for a minor practice infraction that cost the team that he grew up rooting for a 3rd-round draft pick. With a dogged attention to detail, Clayton was an old-school beat reporter, tireless, fearless, and he loved the game of football. He spent 22 years covering the NFL for ESPN. Hall of Fame executive Bill Polian admitted that he learned things from John. President Barack Obama claimed that he wouldn't make a move on his fantasy team without hearing first from Clayton. In 2017, Clayton fell victim to an ESPN talent purge. He was one of 100 let go by the sports network. Still, it is sad that in the era of sports television dominated by hot takes and those who can yell the loudest, there isn't room for a guy like John Clayton anymore. But he stuck with it. He returned to his roots with the Seattle Seahawks as a radio sideline reporter. And he continued to dote on his wife, Pat, whose long battle with multiple sclerosis had become more pronounced, right up until his death last week at the age of 67. Those who knew him best remember John Clayton as much for his devotion to Pat as for his tireless dedication to craft. I don't know if you can have a better legacy than that. Yet, in the most ironic of ironies, Mr. Clayton is best known for the moment when he stepped farthest beyond his comfort zone. That SportsCenter commercial. There was Clayton, wearing a sleeveless Slayer t-shirt with a concealed ponytail, yelling to his mother from the basement. It changed the professor into a rock star. From the professor into a rock star. He didn't want to do it. He was afraid that it would impact his credibility. But it is priceless, as was he. That is our unfinished business, and that is our program. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Tariq?
I just need to wait to the end of the show to find out where to get that shirt with a Mets logo.
If you looked as good as I did in it, I'd let you know.
So selfish of him.
What's the problem with loud people with hot takes?
Well, they're not John Clayton.
Nor are they Pat Duffy. So selfish, Bill. Bill would tell me.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week with the Rochester Press Box.
Just happy he wore a clean shirt.